Sawabona, black people, was good. And if you don't know, Sawabona means I see you. I see you. I value you. You are worthy. I respect you. You are capable. Welcome to my show, Smith the Speaker. That's the channel. Before we go any further, man, hit that like, hit the subscribe, tap in with your boy. Yeah, I'm not like these other cats. I'm sorry to say that. It doesn't mean I'm special. I'm just not like them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to gain fame. I'm not here to strike it rich. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to be a catapult for young black people as an inspiration to maybe help them create their own trajectory of success in their lifetime. And so with that being said, welcome to the show. I understand I'm a little off schedule. I had to because my man is so important and valuable. I needed to be fluid to his schedule and not interrupt his life or impact his life, but be gracious enough and humble enough and know that my ego should not supersede the cause. Say, man, he said, Smith, I can't do it till 11. I said, say less, bro. We doing it at 11. Folks, it's my man, Mr. Brian Stewart. Brian, what's good with you, man?
Hey, man. It's a pleasure to be in your presence today, man. I honor your commitment to helping us, just really be able to live successful lives. And, whatever I can do to assist you in that mission, brother, I am all for it. So thank you.
Absolutely. And for folks that don't know, Mr. Stewart was one of my original guests on my podcast many years ago. He opened up his office at that time at Solano Community College and allowed us to have a very open and direct conversation when it comes to the education opportunities and career opportunities that are available. Maybe, a little bit challenging to get to some of those things for young black men, but B, I definitely do appreciate that. And again, thank you for joining me today. So ladies and gentlemen, what I did was, organically, everything that I do is just like this journey that I'm on. And I thought, why not better than have a free game Sunday school? There's a lot of things you can learn in Sunday school. There's a lot of things you can learn from getting free games. So why not combine the greatness of the two? And that's what we're doing. And before we get into this conversation, just about the black community as a whole, there's no limits, there's no specifics, but I just think there's so many different layers that so many different people can attest to and share their lived experiences that the free game part is all inclusive. You feel me? So with that being said, Mr. Stewart, sir, I know what you do, but could you share and tell the people what you do, what where your energy lies? You know what I'm saying? Some of the things that you've had to deal with to get to where you are, bruh.
Absolutely. All right. Well, listen, my story is probably similar to many of the folks that are watching. Born and raised in Southern California. Spent my formative years in Compton, California. Shout out to Park Village. I see you.
Sawabona Park Village.
Yeah, that's right, brother. Yes, Park Village is out there. And just grew up during the beginnings of the crack epidemic and rise in gang violence in Southern California. Left that situation, went to the military, trying to find out what I'm supposed to do. What is my purpose? And ended up in a position where end up getting a family, moving back to California, went to school, on that mission for purpose, became a life coach, went to Solano Community College, stepping, into a college situation at 47 years of age.
Say that.
First time I actually walked onto a college campus to actually go into a classroom since high school. I didn't even walk with I still to this day don't have a high school diploma that has Brian Stewart on it. But I'm here to say that I was able to, in 4.5 years, go from Solano Community College to Sac State with a bachelor's degree and on back home to Southern California with a master's degree from the University of Southern California in social work. So this is why I am so passionate about expressing to folks, you are where you are because that's where you're supposed to be.
Say that.
But it's where you go from where you are going forward is what really counts. And that's just, just my story.
So B. First of all, man, I want to make sure that I salute you and give you the energy, the dignity, and the verbal acknowledgement that I see you, I recognize you, I appreciate your struggle. Your story, my story, they're the same in different ways, different cities, same environment. You know what I'm saying? The one thing I say, we're not special. We ain't different, but the problem is, B, as you well know, it is easier for society as a whole. When I say society, I am encapsulating everybody, media, agendas, whatever is let's highlight the low hanging fruit, the gang banging, the fights, the how we act with one another in the streets. You know what I'm saying? That didn't define you, did it? That didn't define you, did it?
No. And I just also want to highlight just what you just said. I am not special. There's nothing special about me. Like I said, if you knew my history and really understood it, you'd understand. Look, dude, I ain't that smart. I'm just letting folks know I ain't that smart. But here's one thing I did have was a sense of purpose. And yes. I come from a Christian background where, scripture says that God is not a respecter of persons. So what he gives to one, he makes available to all. Everybody has access to anything I got to help me become successful. He ain't no respecter of anybody.
And it wasn't because, man, we ain't special, right? But you touched on so many things. First and foremost, man, I have another virtual background where I say, because of what you just said, the saying is grades don't define you, but they pay you, right? Mm-hmm. So where you're at right now with your grades, I don't care if you got D's and F's. Listen, I graduated with a 2.1 from high school, my credit score is what it is. It don't make who I am.
Right.
It don't make who I am or what I'm capable of.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And you, my man, are and again, I don't know how true this data is. Maybe you can help me on this, but there's data out there that says then of all the doctorate degrees and the master degrees and PhD and all of these, less than like 0.2% are held by Black men. So with you having a master's, my man, again, it just flies in the face of the environment and the pressure put upon not just Black kids, but kids in general in school, man, but predominantly Black kids, because it's easy to say, oh, you didn't pass your test, so you didn't make it. And then that energy translates into, okay, if I ain't going to pass, why I got to go to school?
Why go to school? Yeah. And, all that is, really it just evidence of the negative programming that that really is led by white supremacy.
Say that.
Basically, guides the thinking. Because they put us all in a box. If you're in this strata, if you're this color, this is the mindset. If you're this color, this is the mindset. So a similar person who's of a lighter hue has the same situation and misses that test. He doesn't see himself as, because of who he is, as a failure. He just sees it as, hey, I screwed that up. I'll have another opportunity because that's just the way it is.
Yep.
It's just us that takes that as an indictment on us as being an inferior people. That's been put out there by, because of white supremacy. However, the main thing that we can do to combat all that stinking thinking is by being on a mission for the truth. And once you understand the truth, is that you understand that, wait a minute, hold up. Let's rewind. If we're going to look back, let's look back real, with reality.
Correctly.
The correctly. The reality is this, is that we weren't supposed to be here.
Uh-oh, here we go. Let's go.
Now, and I want you to really hear this. We weren't supposed to be here. Looking at even policy, the reason why we don't even have universal health care is because of the effort to exterminate and the belief back then that we are going to die off anyway. Why did healthcare not? Why does every single developed nation have some form of universal healthcare where folks that provide healthcare are not in it for profit? They're in it to help. The reason why is back in the early 1800s, and I forgot the gentleman's name, but Theodore Roosevelt had rumblings before he became president that, it's just obvious that because we are growing as a nation, we need to provide for the nation. We need to, healthcare right now, the country doctor thing doesn't work. We have money coming in that we can be able to afford to come up with through Congress, some kind of healthcare system. But because eugenics was rising, eugenics is the study of race and the erroneous thinking that race has something to do with your biology, your intellect, and everything else. Eugenics was the study of putting us strata. Well, I don't even want to use that word, but basically ranking the levels of intelligence based upon race.
Given as a hierarchy.
Give a big time hierarchy, right? And of course, it's centered at the top, the Caucasian race. Now we understand that it is a social construct. Absolutely. Race is all of that. I don't even need to get into that. Absolutely. However, that was huge back then, and there was one scientist who was leading the charge, and he understood that there were really rumblings that this future president wants to go ahead and lead this effort to provide necessary universal health care. But this person was like, wait a minute, hold up now. We don't forget, we have the Negro problem. We have all these emancipated Negroes running around here who now are demanding these rights. We thought we squashed all of that after Reconstruction. We corrected ourselves because we lost our minds after the war, and we gave them all these rights, and all of a sudden we had all these black folks walking through Congress, because they ended up getting the majority share of votes out of southern states, and we effectively squashed that with the Black Code. So we have to understand that Negro problem didn't go away, and all this is going to do is encourage them to continue to exist in this country. However, if we make sure that only folks that have means and access, which is us white folks, if we can make sure we're the only ones that could have health care, these folks will just die off and the problem will solve itself. So if we have universal health care, it's against our interest.
Yeah, so what you said is phenomenal. I agree with you. I want to add to that level of the interest of the people, man. And again, I don't know if you've seen my little thing on the Emancipation Proclamation the other day, but again, when we start talking about the powers that be, and again, you can say whoever you want that to be. I don't know them personally. I'm sure it's interconnected with the political system, the political agenda, the ideation, the regime, whatever you want to call it. But if healthcare was so instrumental to the success of the human population, why is it such a controversy? Which brings me back to what I was saying the other day with the Emancipation Proclamation. Lincoln wrote that it was an act of justice. Well, if it was an act of justice, why did it take centuries to free some humans? So again, the hypocrisy is there, right?
Oh, yeah.
What Doc, right? I'm trying to unpack everything you said.
Well, here's one thing though. But what I want to do is connect that to where we are now in terms of our thinking and the power that we actually have. Again, there was a concerted effort to exterminate us, but we're still here. Now, we're physically here, but where our issues is that too many of us still buy into the lie of inferiority, not consciously.
Absolutely.
But the evidence shows that that's what a lot of our mindset continues to be in. So we wonder why we still live in communities that are underserviced and under-resourced.
Muscle memory is a real thing. Muscle memory
is a real thing, brother. It's a
real
thing.
And when you become, and now I'm tying everything what you, I'm trying to follow your lead, tying things together. When we start talking about the demise, and again, I want to make sure by the time we get to the end of this, we got solutions and we're moving progress.
Yes.
But the demise is connected in so many different ways when we start muscle memory. And then you have a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, where those motor skills start to develop, your social interaction starts to develop, and then you see this sensationalism of nefarious things, aka drugs, violence, these sort of things. And this is another one, B, that it just pondered me the other day. We want young Black men to be strong and supportive and engaging and loving and understanding. But tell me if I'm wrong here, man. We grew up in different cities, but the same environment. If you're a 7-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, 15-year-old boy, and you got into an altercation physically, and you went home and said that you lost that, what was you told?
Oh man, you better get it back out there. Don't come back out here until you deal with that situation.
We are subconsciously telling our young Black men it's okay to be violent. It's okay to exterminate one another.
Yes.
You feel me? So that goes exactly what you're saying. If they didn't want us here, they implemented so many, subliminal messages to us that we do it our own self.
We really do. We really do. And really, they say that, and again, we have to understand that, where we see this in real time is that when you go into the most marginalized communities, when folks, just think about when you're talking to, just talking to folks going through through the college,
right?
Who made it there, but with that same mindset, I'll let you. I didn't disclose though. I work now. I am a social worker in the county probation system, the only one that does what I do. And here's how, really to let you know what I told them when I came on board. See, look, I'm too old to play. I don't play that game, man. I don't do corporate. I don't do office politics. I'm too old for that. I just can't. So I said, look, I get a military pension. I don't need your money.
Say that.
But here, let me let you know why I'm here, Chief. I came here, Chief, not to assimilate into law enforcement. Oh, man, hey, let your baby just be your baby, man. It's all good, man. Just let the baby be the baby. But anyway, I said, look, I'm not here to assimilate in law enforcement. Don't get it twisted. When you hire me, you hire someone who came to infiltrate, not on behalf of law enforcement, but on behalf of the people that I see as disproportionately represented,
correct,
in this justice system. So I'm just giving you a warning. I am here to support these Black people and give them the resources they need so they won't have to see y'all's face ever again.
Absolutely.
Period. Okay, so that's where I am. But when I'm talking to these individuals and ask them, what is it you want to do with your life? What is going, the 9 times out of 10, it is somebody that if they're in a younger age bracket, but some older, I'm talking some in their 40s, 30s and 40s, they are still wanting to get into entertainment. They're making beats, and they're and wanting to in some way become viral. And that's fine because it's worked out for so many people. But because they keep us focused thinking that the only thing we can do is entertainment or sports, this is what keeps us stuck. And this is what keeps us in a situation where we have so much brilliance in our community that's being stifled by erroneous and false thinking about what their potential is. Your past does not determine what your future is. What others have done before you does not determine what's going to push you forward. Just because it's never been done does not necessarily mean that it can't be done.
So to tie what you just said, I'm so on board with what you're saying. And again, that goes back to, what are you introduced to? What were you introduced to in Compton, right? I know on my block in East Oakland, there was no chancellor, there was no master sociologist, there was no principal, and again, if you only know these things, I know how to make beats, and especially in a world now where everything is viral, right? And that's the easy way, right? To your point about the past and not knowing how incredibly brilliant we are. That, to your point again, the things that are introduced to us or that are left out and exterminating us is, I was never taught in any level, K through 12, that a Black man created the street light, or did the first open heart surgery, or patented the first air conditioning unit. You know what I'm saying? So again, we are brilliant. We built the pyramids. You know what I'm saying? We were exploring using the sun and the stars across the oceans before anybody. It was the Moors that brought the Caucasians out of the Dark Age. So again, if we're not taught these, to your brilliant saying, B, is like, come on, man. If we don't know our past, how do we expect to be, what you said earlier, find that sense of purpose? Yeah. How do you find your sense of purpose, B?
And that's the point too, is that when I say looking on the past, I don't mean looking on the past. When you look on the past, it's if you're looking for the past, looking at the past, we need to look at the past for the truth. That's what I mean by the past. Look to the past for the truth. But here's the thing: there's nothing wrong with writing or aspiring to become another, the next multi-platinum selling rapper. I have no problem with that. But when you're limited to thinking that's all you can do, that's what I have a problem with. When you don't understand or know who you are as a person and why you're made the way you're made, that's where I have a problem. So I don't know if we're going towards the solution part of this, but
the thing is, because again, we have to address, if there's young folks out there listening right now in front of, and there's another thing, B, maybe you relate to this. I know for me, when I was younger and we're talking about historical matters of fact, it seems so long ago, right? And most of it didn't even reflect me or what I cared about, right? So when we start with our specifically young Black men, and we're not specific on what we're teaching them about their past, then what do we expect the solutions to be about the future? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And again, your sense of purpose. Let me ask you this question. How do you teach or introduce a sense of purpose to a young black man whose life has been filled with challenges that nobody else experiences?
Yeah. The main thing is this is number one, we have to make sure that every young person knows that there is a reason. And now listen, if you believe that there is because I'm going to just, in full disclosure, I'm a Christian man. All right. And so a lot of my worldview is based upon my faith. But we also have to understand that a lot of us are spiritual people, whether it's organized religion or not, we are spiritual beings. And we've always demonstrated that as Black people. That is, before we were in this country, imported here in this country, and while we were, in the continent of what they call Africa, we've always been spiritual people. But what we need to do for our young people is have them understand that there was an actual divine purpose for them entering into this world in a physical form. There's a reason. There is a reason for that. And here's the thing. That reason, if once you understand it, is the key to getting you everything you ever could want. And what
B, how do we get them to that, finding out their reason of being? You know what I'm saying? Again, man, you're preaching to the choir. I hear you. And I talk to young girls all the time, almost every day, including this one on my lap, about the importance of being is not an accident. But how do you tell that to somebody living on Sequoia Avenue in the hood, and they only know in their, let me say this. I just talked to a young man. Right now he's being held. He's in his early 20s. He thought you needed a passport to go from state to state. This is what we're facing.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Is first of all, if you're talking to this young man, let's come to an agreement. Let's agree on just one basic thing. Do you believe? Because if you don't believe that you're here for a purpose, then the bottom line is really you now believing that life is all about chance. And then there's really not much you can do, because anytime you just believe in chance, just like gambling, you're always going to, the house is really going to always win. White supremacy is always going to win. You'll never be able to accomplish anything. You're always going to go to and fro, not really having any guidance, no ship, no compass, nothing. And we know that only leads to chaos. That leads to nothing but frustration. Every person that's achieved anything achieved it with a sense of purpose. They saw what they needed to do. They saw who they were. I don't care who you are. Kendrick Lamar, Dr. Dre. I'm talking about current folks. Jaden Daniels out there just tearing it up. A sense of they saw what they were supposed to do, and they pursued it with gusto. They saw it. If you don't have that, then it's going to be very difficult for you to be successful. Now, when you say, well, listen, they found it, I don't have it. Well, then you have to believe that is something God gave them. And God said, I am not a respecter of person. What he's given to one, he makes available to all. So if you stop for a minute, stop trying to survive, because that's basically what we're doing. We're trying to survive. Take a break from survival mode and say, wait a minute. Hold up, brother. Hold up. Wait. What is the truth? How do I find the truth? Well, we have cell phones. We have more access to information than we've ever had. So, brother, yes, no, you don't need to have a passport to go to another state. But here's the thing. Before we even get to you going state to state, let's figure out what you're going to do here. What can you do from day one to move you on your path? Here's what you need to do, brother, is you need to look at the truth. You need to look at the truth. How do I get access to the truth? Man, hold on, wait a minute. I know Smitty. Wait a minute. Because the dude I grew up in the hood, he doesn't have that. But wait, I know Smitty's a resource. Okay, so all right, right now I'm frustrated, Smitty. I'm frustrated. Smitty, I don't want to live like this no more. I'm tired of living in Sequoia. I want to be in a position. What do I need to do? Well, let me ask you this, brother. Who are you? Who are you? I don't know. I don't know. There were some clues that's been left on. What were your interests when you were a kid? What did you do when you were a kid? I know one thing. I was collecting. I was out there, looking at rocks. Wow, you were looking at rocks. Why were you looking at rocks? I just like the way they're formed because they're so different. Those rocks are so different. Okay, well, that might be a clue. What is it as a kid? What fascinated you? Those rocks fascinate. Well, that might be something that might be. So here's the thing. Pursue that. Right? Now that you may not be a geologist. That might not be your purpose, but your fascination is going to start leading you to more information as you pursue that. Wait a minute, it might not be a geologist. I think, I'm getting more information on this. Wait a minute. I like the formation it has on buildings. Wait a minute. Okay, so what about these buildings? What's it about these buildings? I like designing. More information. As you move forward, you get more information. You're not going to get it all at one time.
It is that the proverbial rolling stone gathers no moss, but that rolling stone gets some progress done, right?
Absolutely.
So what I say to that, because you've made so many valid points, especially with the references to present day contemporary, I air quote, successful people. In the process of being success, we condemn ourselves in comparison. Well, yes. I can rap, but and I want to be like Kendrick, but I he got a break or whatever the case is. And what I'll say to what you're saying, yeah, that's something you're interested in, and we all have a gift, right? And that's why I wrote the book, I Fit the Description, because if I'm 6'8", and you know this, bruh, if you see a black dude 6'8" and he's 15 years old, first thing somebody gonna tell him is, bruh, you're gonna be in the NBA. Don't tell him that. Tell that man he's gonna be a piano player. Tell that man he's gonna cure cancer. So we gotta start highlighting different avenues of success and stop programming these young brothers' mind that fortune and fame is easy and it's obtainable if you try. Well, it is, but it doesn't have to look like everybody else's success.
Exactly. And that's the thing about your purpose, because the thing is I have an identical twin brother. Okay. And everyone thinks that if there's anything, if you have an identical twin brother, there's someone that there's a carbon copy of you. No. There's certain aspects of myself that's different than my identical twin brother. There's only one you, but just as physically we're different, we have our own lane of purpose that's different than anybody else. Guess what? Nobody can be you but you. Period. You have your own lane. So you compare yourself to somebody else's lane is a fool's errand, because that's their lane. You have your own lane. All I can do is this. Just real quick, real quick. When I joined, you know why I joined the military? Because I'm like, I don't know what else I'm going to be able to do. I'm going to pull these credits together so I can show that I had enough credits to graduate. I know that I can't sit here. When I had that guy come into my store when I was working at Radio Shack after I graduated and came in with blue rollers in his hair, Ben Davis, the look with the web belt, the Ben Davis, the house shoes, the look, and him telling me and pulling out, I want to get that scanner, I want to get that Betamax. Y'all don't know I'm aging myself, but Betamax is a VC. There was a VCR war going on between VHS and Betamax. This dude wanted both of them. Just give me that Betamax and that laser disc player. Yeah, that thing with those discs. Yeah, I want that laser disc player and give me that scanner. No, not the cheap one. I'm like, how are you gonna pay for this? He came out, big old fat knot of money, because I was grabbing a credit application. I ain't gonna say it because right now it's public, but I ain't gonna say what he said. But he said, "Nah, fool, I got put the money down." I said, how can I be down? He pulled out what I didn't know, but those were crack rocks, and slapped them bad boys down. Said, "You need to get with your cousin," because he knew my cousin, Baby Reese, rest in peace. But he said, "You need to get with Baby Reese, cuz, because this blah 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 blah." And I'm like, I know I can't do this. This ain't me. I want to be successful. So I'm going to do like my dad did. I'm going to join the military. I'm going to be the best soldier I can be. I moved on what God told me to do at that time. He didn't say you're going to be a social worker, because I wouldn't be able to even conceive that. But he said, just do what I tell you to do right now and more information. So I went in the military. Loved the military, but I'm from the hood. I'm from the city. I don't like being all outside all the time in the dirt and all this kind of stuff. Nails getting all dirty. And when you're in the military, guess what? You outside all the time. You stay outside, just being outside for no reason. I didn't like that, being dirty and all. That wasn't me. But I loved being what they call a non-commissioned officer, because I was able to lead soldiers. So the first 2 years, I was just a regular Joe. But the next 10 years, I was leading soldiers and helping their families get the resources they need to survive. I didn't know it was called social work at the time. I was only just doing what I was doing when I was in high school. Anytime something happened, gangs, me and my twin brother, we crossed color lines. We, Crips and Bloods they knew the Twilight Twins. Why? Because we was DJing, we was communicating between sets. We was doing all that. We was the guy everybody go to when something's getting ready to go down. I didn't know that was social work, but that's what I did. And I went to the military doing social work. Left the military, said I want to be a life coach. I didn't know that the reason why I want to be a life coach had something to do with who I was, but I pursued what I was told to do at the time. Too many of us deny what we know inside to do, because it's not popular. It's not in vogue. It's not rapping. But if you're obedient, God said, look, he says to me, this is what God told me. He said, listen, obedience is better than sacrifice. That's in scripture. He said, obedience. He said, I don't care. You can go to church on Sunday. You can go to Bible study on Tuesday, go to choir rehearsal on Wednesday, come back Friday night service. I don't care if you do any of that. If you ain't doing what I told you to do, that means nothing. Your time sacrifice means nothing. But do what I told you to do, then we talking. Then you'll start living in the peace. Because really, the pursuit of money is nothing but a pursuit of peace. So if you're living your purpose, you live in your purpose, real quick, you live in your purpose and chasing after your purpose, as opposed to profits. For some reason, profits have the tendency to chase after you. So that's the bottom line. Do what you're supposed to do right now, and more will be given to you as you move forward.
I would drop the mic, but someone got the mic for me. Stop,
don't do that.
Look here. Everything again, man. This is why I wanted you on here, is because I understand you and I. Look at my English. You and I share some form of the same trajectory when we start talking about the beginning to where we are. Can you stop for a second? to where we are, you know. And again, I think a lot of our challenges. Hold on 1 second. Yes, grandson.
I don't want it closed.
Okay, it's open. This is real. This is when we do it live, folks. I get grandson on the lap, and he kind of produces the show. You know, the trajectory begins sort of the same, right? And then we try to figure out how do we navigate, how do we find who we are, what our purpose is, what our success looks like. And the trap has been there long before crack hit us. And I say us because that's who it was aimed for. HIV was there in a different form before it hit us. White supremacy has long been part of the fabric of this country in every single way. Every single trap that is existence today has been in place for a long time. And if it hasn't been in place, all it is a spill off of something that was already there. So with all of that said, B, and man, I appreciate you and I respect your time. We're going to get up out of here. But I would say this. How do, in closing of this show, because it is free game Sunday school, what is the solution to the beneficial growth of the Black community?
Yeah. You know, the thing is, I'm one of those that, you know, I don't profess to have all the answers, but I do know this, though, that if we collectively understood the power that we have, the same power that our forebears utilized to survive slavery, to survive and even thrive, and during the Black Codes and Jim Crow, you know, we had the Frederick Douglasses, the Booker T. Washingtons who basically started schools. We had the W.B. Du Bois that same thing that had us survive and helped us survive and even in many cases thrive, Madam C.J. Walker, and thrive. We have that same blood that's in our systems now. The difference between us and them is that they chose to move forward. They chose to pursue their passion. So what is the solution for us collectively? It's just how we started this thing. Before we started this recording, is we said each one teach one. If those of us that know actually strive to become the example we want others to follow, don't keep your light hidden in a bushel. Let everybody know, hey, listen, I'm a social worker. This is how you can get that done too, if this is what you're supposed to do. Hey, I'm a rapper. This is how I have to give props to Snoop because he put out there about how much people really make on those streaming services and put some reality into it. If everybody, just each one of us that knows is willing to reach down and say, hey, look, this is what I did. Share that truth, share that game like what you're doing right now. If we did that and make a commitment to actually helping each other, we could actually overcome this. Because the thing is, we are not we have wisdom and knowledge that we gain through our experience, but we can't have that wisdom and keep it like we are like water going to a swamp. We need to be lakes and rivers of information. As we get it, we need to be given it. That's what the issue is, because there's a lot of Black folks that know some truth, but holding on to the game.
Hey, and that's why I'm doing this, to give that game away. It don't do me no good to keep my stories or my lived experiences tucked deep inside of me so that the next cat can fall prey to that same dilemma or trap that I fell victim to, and that many other brothers fell victim to. B, I cannot thank you enough, man, for just providing me with your presence today and starting off this month of Free Game Sunday School. You know, to your point, man, just about finding our purpose and not understanding some things, especially when we don't know some things. I had the wonderful opportunity last spring to meet a gentleman who came from my same middle school. I didn't even know. He had just got out. He had did 41 plus years in federal penitentiary. And after me and him talked for about 5 or 6 minutes, and you know, he shared some things with me. I said, "Thank you, brother. I really appreciate you, and I just want to validate your existence right now." And I'll tell you, this has changed my whole perception on some things. B. He put his arm out to me and touched my shoulder, and he said, "Nah, man, congratulations to you." And I was stuck. I was like,
Wow.
"What?" You know, and it took me a minute, and I went home and I thought about it, and I'm like, this man just did 41 years and he's congratulating me. We, again, like I said earlier, we're not special, but there's a reason that you and I exist. To your point about the purpose, there's a reason you and I and folks and the brothers, there's a lot of brothers doing the work we're doing, that we exist, is to celebrate and to do the work for those brothers that's locked up for 41 years and 50 years for whatever erroneous, whether it's real or not, I don't know. And I'm not here. I'm not judge and jury. I'm not that. But we have a role to play. And I just want to take this time to commend you and extend to you my deepest gratitude. And just, man, thank you, B, for coming out of Compton, for surviving Compton, for surviving the Army, for surviving your grad school, for surviving being a Black man, for surviving doing the work that you're doing. Man, I just want to thank you, bruh. And all you know, my man, my door is open. My phone is hot. The bat phone is hot. Whenever there's need to be a change or you see an opportunity for us to pour back into young Black men and young Black women, man, tap in, because I don't want to be that cat that goes without saying that, man. I never said thank you to B and admired his work for what he does and what he gives back, bruh. So B, Mr. Stewart, thank you so much, bro, for what you do, man. I mean that from the bottom of my heart, man. I love you.
Yeah, I got you too, man. And like I said, man, just I appreciate you moving forward. You know, because when we talked that, those years ago, you said it, and you're an example of what calling out your vision, calling it out and making it plain. You're an example of that, and calling it out and making it into a reality. And I want to congratulate you for that. You started really from nothing and created and use your tools, your knowledge, your wisdom to create something that's actually going to have a positive and major impact on our community, man. And again, I admire you for just your commitment to doing what you said you were going to do. And
thank you, sir.
And I appreciate you allowing me to grace the presence here.
Thank you. And just to know, this ain't us saying goodbye, folks. He gonna be back on sometimes. He gonna be back on. You know what I'm saying? Because again, folks, young people, and B, thank you again, bro. I appreciate those words. They didn't just go unheard. Young brothers, young sisters out there, you know, a lot of the stuff is there. It's there for the taking. It's already been done and said. We just got to open our eyes. You know, no one knows what a master sociologist does unless you get into that circle or you're introduced to it. You know, if you're at the school and you're the guy that cats come to, this might be your calling. You know, your calling might be political science, to be a leader. You know, there's a lot of things. Don't take some of the things that you hear that, oh, you could put words together. You could be a rapper. No, you could be an author. You could be a world-renowned author. You can write for the Supreme Court office. There's so many wonderful things when you put your words together. They're there. Okay. Hold on 1 second, grandson. I'm about to be done. My grandson wants to brush his teeth again. I'm instilling some very good hygiene habits in this young man.
That is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
Let that man do what he do.
Absolutely. Beautiful people. It's your boy Smith, the speaker. Thank you again for joining me. Catch us next Sunday at the 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, before you dip up out of here, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. You'll see my boy B on again sometime soon. Mr. Stewart, thank you. Beautiful Black people, you know how I get up out of here. If you have a conversation with somebody that doesn't look like you or sound like you, and if you're quiet and listen, You just might learn something. Beautiful Black people, I love you.